What's up, y'all? Welcome to Second and 15, a Philadelphia Eagles fan podcast presented by Old City Sports Network. It's your host, Michael Roscoe, and welcome to episode 47 of the show. Before we get into this week's topics, if you're watching this on YouTube, don't forget to like and subscribe to the Old City Sports Network and Second and 15 podcast YouTube channels, as well as turn on notifications so you can catch all the content. If you're watching elsewhere, don't forget to share that as well. It greatly helps the show. All right, we got a little bit of topics this week. We've got the NFL news of the week involving a big money payout to potential viewers, as well as some Eagles topics related to Saquon Barkley, Jalen Hurts, and some awesome fundraising drives. So let's dive right into this now, starting off with that NFL news for the week. The NFL owing billions. Now, what does this mean? So, the NFL is about to owe billions of dollars. According to AP News, the NFL is liable for over $4.7 billion in damages after a federal jury has ordered the league to pay this amount amidst its Sunday ticket scandal. Now, allegedly, the league had violated antitrust laws by selling subscribers and businesses Sunday ticket at inflated prices between the years of 2011 and 2022. For those who don't know what Sunday ticket is, I'd be very surprised. But if you're new here, basically it allows homes and businesses to purchase a channel package to watch out of market games. So it's great if you're a Philly fan living in Idaho, if you're a Dallas fan living in Hawaii for whatever reason. But basically, you get all the out of market games. Anyway, so this lawsuit impacted around 2.4 million residential users and about 48,000 businesses. Now, is this overall concept shocking? Not really. I mean, the NFL is a monopoly that can pretty much get away with, up until recently, anything they wanted to. Other football networks or leagues, such as like the XFL, the USFL, the merger they did with the UFL, between the 1980s and today, they just don't really have that market, that fan base, that financial means that the NFL has the on the sports world, pretty much. They've been here since the early 1900s, and they have that history, they have that legacy, they have that fan base that has, been in generations of households. That's not going away anytime soon, despite some of the shitty things that the league may do, like inflate prices on already expensive football packages. Now, if the NFL does end up having to pay this full settlement, if their lawyers can't do anything to reduce or make it go away, it'll be a hit to the league for sure. Some are saying that it would cost each team around $443 million. But to be clear, we don't know the full extent of what this payout is actually going to look like. There's a lot of speculations, like that households will get thousands of dollars, up towards around 6,000 if they had Sunday ticket between these times. Businesses could see the same thing. We don't know for sure. But if it goes as written, where the NFL is going to owe this money, they're going to pay it in one way or another, and not probably like with a big check. We'll probably see, Even more expensive NFL tickets, merchandise. Stadiums will probably sell beverages and food and other merchandise for way inflated prices to make up for the loss that the NFL is going to suffer. But we'll know more as soon as we get more information on that. Now, before I dive into our Eagles news, let me give you all a quick word from our sponsors. So, with all the traveling you might be doing, you don't want to forget to miss meals or snacks. And if you're looking for a delicious, high protein, low sugar, and all natural snack with no added hormones or antibiotics, made right here in the United States, then don't forget to pick up some Righteous Felon Craft Jerky with awesome flavors such as Soul Survivor, Darth Garlic, Foul Capone, and more. Head to your local store, or even better yet, head to righteousfelon.com and use our promo code OCSN, all lowercase, for 15% off your order, and any orders over $50 will receive free shipping. With so many things to do this summer, maybe you'll be down to see some MLB games and down some hot dogs and some beers, see that Broadway show or stand-up comedian you've been dying to see, or finally get to see your favorite music artist in person. To get tickets for these events, head on over to SeatGeek.com or use the app in your iPhone or Android and use the promo code Old City Sports Network, all lowercase e at the end of old, for $20 off of your purchase. Additionally, if you can't make your event, SeatGeek will offer you credit towards your next event. And finally, with Independence Day weekend in full swing, we take this time to look at the history of those who fought tirelessly to make the United States an independent country. The 4th of July also makes me think of American history, as well as those who fought for our freedom and independence. Many of these veterans in today's age go on to pursue other activities after active duty, such as going back to school, staying at home with family, or going on to even open up their own businesses. If you want to support one of these veteran owned businesses, consider supporting Warlord Beard Oil. Head to warlordbeardoil.com and use promo code OLDSPORTS with an E at the end of old in all caps for 15% off your beard oils, washes, soaps, lotions, apparel, tools, and so much more. Orders over $75 will receive free shipping. And as always, don't forget to support the podcast by heading over to oldcitysports.com to purchase some merchandise from your favorite shows, such as Second and 15, as well as Ducks and Pucks, Check the Net, The Living Room Show, and many more. Go on to oldcitysports.com and use the promo code listed at the bottom of the screen. Or for those who are listening, you can use Old City, all caps, and with an E at the end of old, for 15% off of your purchase. Any purchase greatly supports the people who present you these podcasts each week, as well as the network as a whole. All right. So now we're going to dive into these Eagles specific topics, starting with a pretty wholesome one. Team Ocean Drive bringing in the Bucks. So, Jason Kelsey is back at it again with the fundraising. Surprise, surprise, I don't really think so. But this time it was the Ocean Drive event occurring last week, which raised around $865,000 and counting for the Eagles Autism Foundation. Former and current players were alongside families for the Eagles Takeover Family Friendly event, which I think it was the first time they had a family friendly series of events at this specific fundraising event, which is awesome to hear. You know, we love inclusivity. We love being able to incorporate Eagles fans of all ages and, lifestyle choices, whether they choose to drink or not, as well as the slinging back some drinks and competing in drinking games for the over 21 crowd. Now, additionally, members of Eagles families such as Big Dom, Kylie Kelsey, and Mama Kelsey were there taking photos and signing autographs for lots of fans. Another successful fundraising event for an amazing cause. Next, we got some Kelly Green game dates that I want to talk about. So, the Philadelphia Eagles this past week announced their Kelly Green games for the 2024 season. The first is going to be week 9 versus the Jacksonville Jaguars, Sunday night primetime football. And the second being in week 17 versus the Dallas Cowboys. Now, rocking the Kelly Greens mid-season on a Sunday night primetime game, that's dope. I can fuck with that. But week 17, I got some mixed emotions about this that I'll dive into. The negative feelings I have about this are one, I don't want to have to wait pretty much the whole damn season to see one of these Kelly Green games. I wish they had more than two to begin with, or that these just became the primary green. I love me some midnight green, but Kelly Green would be dope as primary for at least a season. And I don't want to have to wait the whole damn season to see one of those games. And two, at that point in the season, depending where we're at in the playoff picture, it could not be our best played game because we could be sitting our starters potentially. Now, I know that's a bit of a stretch prediction so far since it's not even the beginning of the season yet, and that I have the assumption that the Birds will be in that playoff picture. But realistically, I think we will be in the playoff picture. Now the positive feelings I have towards this are one, this game and the week 9 game will be home games. So you know that the link is going to be even popping more than it usually is with a sea of Kelly Green in there. You probably won't be able to see an opposing fan's jersey in there with so much Kelly Green. And two, it's going to be against a division rival, one of the most hated teams amongst Eagles fans, that in the Dallas Cowboys. Even if we're in a sit the starters situation come week 17, there's so much history and animosity between these two teams. It would just be amazing to see the Birds stomp this team in the best throwback jerseys of the year. No questions asked. I don't care how many people love the Tampa Bay Creamsicles. The Kelly Greens are the best, hands down. All right, moving on. Hard knock life for the Giants. Now, you're probably thinking, why am I talking about the Giants? Well, it has a benefit to us, and I'll tell you how. So, some of you may see this already, but basically the Giants fucked up with Saquon Barkley, and it's going to benefit the Eagles. On the first episode of Hard Knocks offseason with the Giants, shows members of the executive office, including GM Joe Shewan, owner and CEO John Mara, executive Tim McDonald, and others on the Giants executive board, discussing the Saquon Barkley situation. When Shewan asks, is there anyone who's going to pay him $12 million a year? One of the members responds with, any team that can afford will pay. After the same guy asks, are we positive that no one is going to pay him that much? So there's the feelings are all over the place there. Overall, they discuss franchising or trading him as not 100% possible options. And then you have Showen basically going with the needs that we have and a 27-year-old $1 million running back, and then it cuts off and it shows the Hard Knock Life logo to, add some suspense. It basically led up to the decision to let him walk, because they didn't see the value in paying Saquon $12 million a year at the age of 27 when they have quote unquote other needs to fulfill. What it looks like to me is that they valued these other needs ahead of keeping their best offensive playmaker because he wanted to be paid without even really fulfilling those needs. Now, if I was Saquon and I was dealing with a shitty offensive line and a mid quarterback, yeah, I would want to get paid some big money too. 4 seasons with over 960 rushing yards, 3 of those being over 1,000. And with Saquon being the guy that was the offensive playmaker for the Giants, yeah, it makes sense for him to get paid. And with all that talent, the Giants decided that the previous year they wanted to extend Daniel Jones to a $160 million, $82 million guaranteed contract as he threw 2 touchdowns and 6 interceptions before his season-ending injury. Did the Giants actually fill their needs? Their biggest need was probably at offensive lineman, then receiver and tight end with Darren Waller's sudden retirement. They got Drew Lock to back up Daniel Jones, not the power move to fill your quarterback needs. Then the offensive lineman they picked up, one of them is ranked 48th out of 63 guards, and the other one has started 14 games over 5 seasons. Now, they did go and sign John Runyon to a 3-year deal, which isn't bad. Great offensive lineman for the Packers. But that's just one guy. You know, one guy can't be an offensive line. You know, the Giants drafted Malik Neighbors to help their wide receiver position, and they signed Isaiah McKenzie, who's reliable but not a huge playmaker. But they didn't draft a single offensive lineman. You saw how that first round went with all the offensive tackles going off the board like crazy, and the Giants didn't draft any one of them. They drafted no linemen, and they signed 2 second-string tight ends, including Jack Stoll from the Eagles. Now, I'm not hating on Jack Stoll at all, but in 3 seasons with the Eagles, he didn't catch a single touchdown. He was a great pass blocker, great blocking tight end, but wasn't able to put points up on the board yet. The Giants front office is also commenting on Saquon's age in their struggle to decide whether to keep him or not. Yet they go and get Devin Singletary, who's also 27 years old, at a 3-year, $16.5 million deal, which has the potential to be up to $20 million. Again, with that offensive line, Singletary is going to struggle, and the Giants are basically getting what they paid for. Overall, it's clear that the Giants office completely dug themselves into a giant hole, letting their best player go to a division rival, that being us. Now, we get Saquon. Who is very talented, running behind the best offensive line in the league. Some say it's Detroit, but I don't care. The Eagles have the best consistent offensive line in football. At a contract that's worth his value without having to carry the entire offense, because you have Dallas Goedert, you got Devontae Smith, A.J. Brown, Jalen Hurts, other quality running backs too who can fulfill on a rotation. Barkley doesn't have to be the offense like he had to be on the Giants. And he's at less risk for injury because his linemen can actually fucking block for him. Big power move by us. So Howie Roseman just does it again. Giants, I can't tell what your season is going to look like, but that's for a different conversation. All right, my last topic for this week's episode is kind of what I talked about last week at the end of the episode going into this one with QB numbers and why the hell Jalen's getting all this hate. So basically, this is what I mean. Is all the shit talk on Jalen warranted? So I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's just the people I'm around, the algorithms on social media, whatever the case may be, or if, Craig Carton and dudes like that just have the biggest mouths. I feel like people are so quick to dismiss Jalen Hurts this year, with some people going as far as saying he isn't a top 15 quarterback. First of all, that's bullshit. Is he a top 5 quarterback right now? No, I would say he's not. But he's not far behind that. If this was after the 2022 season, the argument would be totally different, but you could say that about any player realistically. I put together some numbers of QBs who have played at least 50 or more games. So you won't see Brock Purdy, Anthony Richardson, CJ Stroud, etc. With these numbers focusing on their total touchdowns per game, that's including passing, rushing, and receiving, and the amount of turnovers they commit per game, interceptions, fumbles, turnovers on down, whatever. Quarterbacks on this list include Aaron Rodgers, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Deshaun Watson, Joe Burrow, Dak Prescott, Justin Herbert, Russell Wilson, Kirk Cousins, Kyler Murray, Matthew Stafford, Jalen Hurts, Jared Goff, Tua Tagovailoa, Derek Carr, Baker Mayfield, Lamar Jackson, Trevor Lawrence, Justin Fields, Daniel Jones, and Geno Smith. Now, these are your guys who are probably, more of your starting QBs from the past 3 years. I know Justin Fields is looking like maybe a backup situation. Geno Smith mainly just got his starting within the past couple of years, etc. But these are your more popular name guys who have played at least 50 or more games. And I made a whole list. I looked at their amount of touchdowns per game, their amount of turnovers per game, the amount of total yards per game, and their overall career pass completion percentages. And this is what I found. I'll read this off to y'all. So, over his entire career, Jalen Hurts averaged 1.74 total touchdowns per game. The highest in this category were Aaron Rodgers, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Deshaun Watson, and Joe Burrow, ranging from 2.05 to 2.52 touchdowns per game. Quarterbacks lower than Hurts in touchdowns per game included Jared Goff, Tua Tagovailoa, Lamar Jackson, Trevor Lawrence, and Baker Mayfield amongst the 9 total QBs with less touchdowns per game than Jalen Hurts. Additionally, Jalen Hurts averaged 0.72 turnovers per game, or in other words, had a 72% chance of committing at least 1 turnover per game. Now you think, damn, that's pretty high. However, Jalen averaged the third fewest, you heard that right, third fewest turnovers per game across a total career, with only Patrick Mahomes and Aaron Rodgers committing fewer turnovers per game. The quarterbacks who committed the most turnovers per game across a career were Trevor Lawrence, no surprise, Josh Allen, Justin Fields, Daniel Jones, and Matthew Stafford were in your top 5 committing the most turnovers per game. Jalen Hurts performed better overall in this category than these quarterbacks, as well as Joe Burrow, Dak Prescott, Justin Herbert, Lamar Jackson, Kirk Cousins, and more. To put things in perspective, so far career-wise, Trevor Lawrence averages 1.2 turnovers per game, and Josh Allen averages 1.08 turnovers per game. Basically, these two guys are like 100% guaranteed to commit at least 1 turnover per game. Not very reliable, as turnovers play a large role into winning games just like touchdowns do. Now, when I was looking at these numbers, did all this math and a ton of research, what I don't love so far is that Jalen Hurts does rank towards the bottom in total yards per game over a career with 230. Now, again, yards don't win games. As you can see, he's had 41 rushing touchdowns. Some could say it's tush push merchant, but there's rushing touchdowns beyond tush pushes as well. Additionally, his career average pass completion percentage is 63.4%, which is lower, but only around 1 to 3% lower than the majority of the QBs who are ranking above him. However, guess who Jalen Hurts has a higher completion percentage than? Josh Allen at 63.2% to Jalen's 63.4%. Now, I'm aware that this list doesn't necessarily take certain factors into consideration, like weather during the games, injuries to quarterbacks at the beginning, middle, or ends of seasons, their offensive weapons, inflated or deflated stats from good versus bad seasons, coaching schemes, both good and bad, and a multitude of other factors. But based on these calculations and in a per game situation, this is a per game average situation, Hurts has less turnovers than Burrow. Sorry, Jalen Hurts has less total turnovers career-wise than Joe Burrow, with Joe Burrow playing 10 less games than Hurts. Additionally, Jalen Hurts is better than Josh Allen in pass completion percentage and has less turnovers per game as well. Hurts is less likely to turn the ball over than 18 out of the 21 total quarterbacks registered in this list. And Jalen Hurts scores more touchdowns per game than Lamar Jackson, Jared Goff, and Tua Tagovailoa. 2 of these quarterbacks, some analysts say, are better than Jalen Hurts, mainly Lamar Jackson. I guess my point on this is that Jalen doesn't deserve the slander he's been getting. While after this season, he may not be a top 5 quarterback like he was in 2022, he's definitely within the top 10. I would say within the top 8. Anyone who's saying Hurts is less than top 10, I would be questionable to listening to their opinion. And then anyone who's saying he's less than a top 15 quarterback is an absolute fucking moron. I might get some slander for this, but I'll deliver these stats unapologetically. If you want the whole list, go ahead and DM me on one of my social medias, and I'll be able to get it over to you as soon as I can. All right, y'all. So that does it for this week's episode. I appreciate y'all being flexible with my schedule this week, of course, with traveling, and then there's the holiday. I hope everyone had a fantastic and safe Independence Day yesterday. I hope everyone had a good time watching fireworks and drinking responsibly if you partake in that, as well as spending time with family and friends on such an important day in American history. Um, Check us out on YouTube, Instagram, other social media like Twitter and Facebook. Search Second and 15, a Philadelphia Eagles fan podcast. Don't forget to support our network as we're presented by Old City Sports Network on the same sites. Search Old City Sports Network on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and you'll be able to find us. And then if you're more of a streaming versus a viewing person, we are also on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Player FM, or wherever you get your podcasts. Just search Second and 15, a Philadelphia Eagles fan podcast, and you will definitely find us. With that being said, thank you for tuning in to episode 47. I hope everyone has a fantastic weekend coming ahead. Try to stay cool. It's a hot one out this weekend. As always, stay fly like an eagle and go birds.